Welcome to the Real Estate Way to Wealth and Freedom podcast with Jacob Ayers, providing actionable content to help you along your journey to financial freedom through real estate investing. As the premier asset class, real estate has helped ordinary people just like you amass fortunes. The benefits of passive income from real estate investing will allow you to live a life you want. And now your host, entrepreneur, real estate investor, and apartment deal syndicator, Jacob Ayers.
Hi, and welcome to the Real Estate Way to Wealth and Freedom podcast, episode 320. Hey, welcome back. I'm your host, Jacob Ayers. Thanks so much for tuning in to this week's episode. I have two special guests for the podcast today. They are Jay and Samera Harvey, founders of Trailer Cash Academy. Jay and Samera started their mobile home investing journey in 2017 after losing over $90,000 in unfortunately unsuccessful real estate deals. We'll dig into those stories. But in a matter of 3 short years, they have completed over 400 mobile home transactions and perfected the process of creating quick cash and cash flow using basic real estate strategies in mobile home parks. They've been happily married for 9 years and currently reside in Irvine, California. I had a great time talking with Jay and Samera on the podcast today, where we started with things like mindset and how they managed to escape their unfulfilling 9-to-5 day jobs and are now successful full-time real estate investors. So much great content, so much great energy with these two. So I'm really excited to bring them on the show. So let's go ahead and jump right into this week's episode. All right, today, welcome on the show, Jay and Samera Harvey. Jay, Samera, hey, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for having us. Pleasure to be here.
Absolutely. It's our pleasure. It's not often we get a tag team duo on the other end of the mic, but we have two people for our audience members listening in, Jay and Samera, tag team real estate investor couple. So welcome to the show. Guys, tell us a little bit about who you are, your background, what you do, and kind of your journey into the real estate investing world.
For sure. Yeah. So what we did, we started off in corporate America, like a lot of people. You know, we sipped the Kool-Aid, maybe sipped it a little too long. And we honestly started to feel like we were just unfulfilled with our roles. We didn't feel like we were living a really purposeful life. We felt like we had more to give to the world. We tried a few things and failed at a few things. Like we tried personal training. We tried opening up a photography business. We tried even network marketing. I was out there, selling the crazy rap things. It was crazy out there. And one day, you actually stumbled across an ad for a Rich Dad event.
Yeah,
right?
So there was a Rich Dad event, and we had never really thought of the idea of real estate investing. I think we read the book Rich Dad Poor Dad, so that kind of triggered us. And we're like, man, we should try this out. Let's go and see what this is about. And so we went to the event, and we were super inspired. Like we felt like, hey, this could really complement both of our strengths. I think this is something we were really inspired by the deals that people were able to get done and how quickly things were happening. So we were like, let's jump in. Like, this is it. So we ended up jumping in very quickly. And, within our first few months, we found a mentor. We ended up investing $30,000 into a fix and flip. But come to find out, this mentor was actually a scammer, took our money and ran. And shortly after, like weeks after we had invested that money, we invested $60,000 into a burnout fix and flip. Like literally, we walked in there. You could see through the roof. There was a sky roof.
Oh no!
No roof. No, like the walls were coming down. It was terrible. But we were just excited to jump in. So we invested $60,000 of borrowed money and our own money into that project. We thought we would get our money back in 3 to 4 months. Comes to find out, we didn't get our money back for about 15 months. So at that point, we were almost out $100,000. And we were in a place where we're like, man, this isn't really working well, but we didn't feel right just stopping. Like we were like, man, there was something still pulling us into real estate. And then Jay actually found, he was going to a real estate seminar and he found our next mentor.
Yeah, he was he's like 80, 85 years old.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he was getting busy though, man. He was very busy. He was actually flipping homes. They weren't residential properties. He was talking about mobile homes. He was bringing in $20,000 to $30,000 per month. He wasn't using a lot of his own money. If he was, it was no more than maybe $5,000 to $7,000. And he was talking about how so many people are just missing this boat when they're starting off with real estate investing. So he went over a few concepts of how this all works. And I ran home, told Samera I was so excited about it. And she was like, mobile homes? Oh, hell no, no mobile homes. We're not, we're not doing any trailer trash and 8 Mile type stuff. But once we started to do our research, we started to figure out like, hey, not only can we make a business out of this, but we can actually serve a lot of people. A lot of people need access to affordable housing. So up to date, we've been able to do over 400 transactions. And the greatest thing is being able to help thousands of students across America get their first deal closed. So it's been great.
Yeah, that's awesome. And that's part of the competitive advantage of mobile homes, right? Is that stigma of people, wanting to avoid them or, why would you ever invest in mobile homes, right? But you guys kind of took that unpolished gem and, kind of found that diamond in the rough in terms of an asset class through mobile homes.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
There's a ton of stigma when it comes to mobile homes. And that's, initially that was my thoughts. Like, man, are these worth anything? Would people even want them? But come to find out, it's a whole different world when you run the numbers and you really see the demand for affordable housing. There's definitely a gold mine behind it.
Yeah, it's funny. I'll tell a quick personal story. So my girlfriend is from Maine. I don't think she really knew what mobile homes were when she moved down here to Texas. But me being from Oklahoma, is a common place to see mobile homes. So there are people throughout this country that maybe don't even know what mobile homes are or never have really even seen them in real life. So that was kind of funny to me.
Yeah, most people don't know until right? Like until you're exposed to this opportunity or to, what mobile homes are, even looking to make money with them. I remember I drove past a mobile home park every single day on my way to work. Didn't even know it was there until I got into this industry. So it's very common. People just don't notice them.
Yeah. So backing up, you guys are both working corporate America thinking, just 9 to 5s, not very fulfilling. There's something more out there. So you're trying to, do these side hustles of a photography business or personal training and all these different things. Then you kind of stumble and find real estate investing. But even further, you find yourself in mobile home parks. So how does one kind of make that progression from like corporate America, 9 to 5 on one end of the spectrum to mobile home park millionaires on the other end of the spectrum?
Man. First and foremost, it takes being open. I think that's the first thing, just being open to trying new things. I think being in the 9 to 5 world for so long, we each had a sense of comfort. And, with comfortable, it's hard to step into that uncomfortable zone, which they also call your wealth zone. And it really started us like reprogramming our mind and creating new habits so that, we can actually see ourselves, create a higher vision for ourselves moving forward out of the 9 to 5 world and actually into the business that we established with real estate and even through mobile home investing.
Yeah. And I think the journey, we would have never thought we would be mobile home investors. That's not necessarily what we got into real estate to do. But just like Jay said, being open to opportunities, really looking for, where everybody's running, that it's not necessarily the best way to go. You kind of have to kind of create your own lane. Look for the niches, look for, where are the opportunities that maybe other people are not aware of, because that's where those blue oceans are. And that's where a ton of opportunities and resources and money and people that need to be served.
And then lastly, just leveraging our jobs, leveraging the little bit of time that we had left in the corporate world so that we give ourselves the time to learn, to gain the skill sets in order to transition from the 9 to 5 to the full-time entrepreneur.
Yeah, I love that. Leveraging your day job is a good perspective. So many people find themselves in a situation that you guys were once in, Jay and Samera, and that is having a 9 to 5, right? Everybody has to have an income. So, the most typical thing for that is having a day job, right? But it's really hard to break out of that routine. And if you're comfortable, you're making a nice salary, it takes a lot of something to, come home and, put in the after hours work and try to, make something on your off time. So how did you guys balance that when you guys were still transitioning from your day jobs to real estate investors?
Yeah, it took a lot of time management. I think there was some late nights there. I'm not going to lie, learning, reviewing courses, doing calls, using every time that we had to kind of push our business forward in any way. I remember we would do calls on our lunch breaks and we would, after work, we would set, dinner, and then we would have 2 to 3 hours where we would really focus on our business and how to grow it. And the weekends took a lot of our time. So it just takes, that commitment and that dedication and sacrifice of your time a little bit more, but it's all for the bigger purpose, because once you kind of tap into it, you have a little bit more confidence, and even when you're creating some income with that side hustle, you can now see how you can transition out of it. So it did take a lot of time.
Yeah, sacrificing, some sleep first and foremost, because for a while we were in the 9 to 5 there. You wake up, you brush your teeth, you go to the gym, you get ready, and then you're just in that job atmosphere. And before you know it, you recognize like, man, I've given my job the best energy of the day. So what did it take is waking up 1 to 2 hours earlier so that we can focus on giving our best energy to ourselves and to our business first. And then even sacrificing a little bit more time after work so that we can make sure that we're doing everything in our power to not use the excuse of, I don't have enough time. No, it's just sacrificing time to get our business to where we want it to be.
Yeah. And, during this kind of transition phase, you guys are sacrificing, like you said, a lot of time, a lot of energy, resources, money, studying and going around the country to conferences and all those things. I'm sure, you weren't doing this just because you hate free time and you don't enjoy Netflix as much as the next person, right? So what was driving you? What was, making you want to, strive for more?
I think the biggest thing for us is really just controlling our time, doing what we want with the time that we have. We always want to say like, hey, I want to live the life I love. And at that point, we just simply weren't doing that. We were sacrificing some of the best years of our lives and sacrificing the most energy to help someone else build their own dream. So with us, being in control of our own destiny is very important. So I think that's the biggest thing that pushed us. It's like, hey, we have an opportunity here. We're young. We're living in America. We're living in the best years of our lives right now. This is the perfect opportunity for us to create something on our own.
Yeah. And I think we were so uncomfortable and so unhappy in our jobs that it was like, hey, there has to be a better way. Like that. I think that uncomfort actually pushed us to, the desire level even further. I think if we were very comfortable and cushy in our job, it might not have been enough to kind of push us to go a little bit harder, to wake up earlier, to stay up later. But I think we knew there was more to life, and that freedom was calling us. And so, that uncomfort definitely kind of pushed us out to go a little harder than we might have if there was a easier opportunity there.
Yeah, it's almost a blessing in disguise having that uncomfort, right? Because you could have easily been comfortable and satisfied with your position in life. I'm sure you guys had great jobs, it sounds. You could have just, coasted and, kind of made it, from here on out, invest in your 401k and kick up for the next 40 years and live a kind of average, semi-comfortable lifestyle. But you wanted something more, and that's not easy to achieve all the time.
No, not at all. But, I think the biggest thing that was pushing us is, at least for myself, is, I would look at my next position. If I worked super hard, gave, extra time and energy to getting that promotion, I could have my manager's position. But I saw how unhappy he was. He would come in, he would even complain about the job. He would complain about the unhappiness he had in his family and things he couldn't afford. And I would just see where he was spending a lot of his time as well. It would be a lot of, going to the happy hours, going to different, family functions and watching a bunch of TV, but ultimately not giving the best energy and best time to his gift. And his gift was actually being able to create knives. Like, this guy would
oh, nice. Yeah,
make knives from scratch. He brought a couple of them into the office. I'm like, man, you should be doing that full time. And you would ask him, like, why aren't you doing that? Why are you making a living out of that? He's like, it's just something I'll do for fun. It's like, you're not giving yourself permission to step out of this comfort zone, even though your comfort zone is making you feel like crap. So, that pushed me. I said, hey, I know that position is there, but I don't ever want to see myself ending up like that. So I got to shift. I got to do something different.
Wow, that's really powerful. Just kind of thinking, of yourself and like that next step, or, looking down the line and saying like, man, is that how I really want to live my life? And the answer is no, you've got to do something else, right?
Right.
Exactly. You're on the wrong path. If you're not looking to go further, you're not looking for your boss's job. I was the same way. I was like, man, he looks unhappy in there. He would sit with his hands in his face, or his face in his hands, and just didn't look happy. And I'm like, man, you gave 20, 30 years to doing that. There's got to be a better way. That we've got to shift.
Well, kudos to both of you for kind of figuring that out at a young age and then going out and trying to make something on your own. So you guys start investing a lot in yourself, educating yourself, going to conferences, going to that Rich Dad, Poor Dad conference. And then you found a mentor. You had a couple kind of mishaps right off the bat, though. Honestly, if I were you guys, I don't know if I would have been able to overcome that just mentally, right? So you guys had a lot of resolve to be like, take a 60K hit, take a 30K hit, and still keep going. So you guys must have really wanted it. Tell us what was going on in your mind. Most people just give up, honestly.
Yeah, man, it was like an ego strike, It started to get around the town and people started to hear about it. And we felt so embarrassed, felt so ashamed. And, I was like, you know what? This can't be the ending story about us. These people can't just hear this and then we'll just go back to the 9 to 5 and that's all they know about us. So it started to actually drive us to become more, to change the story, not just for ourselves, but for what other people think about us as well. That's very important. When we say other people, we're talking about our close family members and our close friends. At the end of the day, we want that respect and we want to get it through hard work and perseverance. So we started to look at that as not so much of a failure, but just as a lesson. We knew there was something bigger. We just had to become more. We had to make that shift and just accept the challenge that was thrown our way.
Yeah, I would definitely piggyback on that and just say, it also was, some of the relationships and people we had in our environment that encouraged us to keep going and gave us resources to keep going. Because if Jay wouldn't have been invited to that real estate conference to find the mentor, we may not have continued to push forward. We just had, in our journey, surrounded ourselves with good friendships, good people that were all on a journey together. Some were further along than us, some were still getting started just like us. But nonetheless, we had encouragement. And I think that really helped us as well, just to say, hey, that was a mistake. We all make mistakes. We fall down. But hey, keep pushing. We can always make that back. This is just the beginning of the journey. This doesn't have to be the end. Absolutely.
I love it. Well, kind of continuing down this real estate investing journey, after you kind of overcome those couple first mishaps, you land in mobile home park investing. So tell us how that came about, what your thoughts were, and kind of your foray into that world.
Yeah, when we were doing so much research, we first found out that there was an affordable housing crisis going on in America. And we just simply didn't know the demand was so high. So once you get past the stigma of all the trailer trash and the 8 Mile, you start to see like, man, there's actually a lot of people that you get to serve. You have the opportunity to serve them. So when we saw that, we started to just become more aware of all the different mobile home parks around us. And then what was really cool is we had our mentor there that we actually didn't get scammed by. And he actually provided us ways to actually go into these parks, how to find these deals, how to analyze these properties, and how to actually, buy and sell them and make a profit. But more importantly, have your buyer and your seller walking away with a smile.
Yeah. And I think the biggest thing that surprised us is, and we kind of teach this on our YouTube channel, we kind of put out our test ads or hack ads where we were like, hey, if we actually buy one of these things, are we going to get stuck with it? So we started testing the market to see if we would get a response. And within hours, we'd had hundreds of people asking for these homes. And we were like, man, if we can just get one, it shouldn't be too hard to sell it. And that's been our experience throughout this whole process is that, when you have a good home, you can sell it so quickly because there's so many people that need it. And so it's been one of the reasons we've been able to kind of do so many deals in that amount of time, in a short amount of time, is because as soon as you find them, you can sell them. And they're so quick to sell because in most states, it's just a title at the MBD. So the transfer process is literally, you give me the cash, I'm going to sign the title and we're done. Versus going through inspections and appraisals and all of that you would do in a traditional single family home.
Yeah, we were doing deals so fast because we were surprised, even with our failures, quote unquote, failures that we had in the real estate space, we were still able to complete a couple wholesale deals in the real estate world before we got into mobile home investing. We were closing deals faster than each of those deals in the real estate space. So we started and we just couldn't get enough.
That's awesome. So let's kind of get into the specifics of your strategy. It doesn't sound like you're necessarily going in and buying entire mobile home park communities, but rather individual mobile home parks. So tell us, am I right there?
Yeah. So we're basically purchasing individual mobile homes in the park. So There's mobile homes in parks. There's also mobile homes on land.
Right.
The park owner obviously owns the land in the park, and then usually the homeowner usually owns their own land. So we're going in, we're saying, hey, we're not purchasing the land. We want to purchase the home. This is residential. This is considered a chattel piece of property since it's personal property versus real estate.
Yeah. So we have multiple strategies. We actually learned a lot of strategies from real estate that we kind of brought over, like wholesaling and brokering and fix and flipping. We also create passive income with these properties with seller financing. So we have quite a few strategies that we use depending on, how much money you have to invest. Do you have no money? Where you are in your journey as far as getting your first deal done. And so we kind of learned that along the way. We didn't start off with all these strategies, but just kind of learning how to operate in those parks, we had to come up with unique ways to serve people.
Yeah, we learned that, with these homes compared to regular single family homes and with mobile homes, you only need to make sure the big 5 repair items are functional. So we're talking about plumbing, the roofing, subflooring, electrical, and the AC. You just want to get those items functional. And then the cosmetic issues, you can literally put the home on the market, sell it below market value, and that buyer will come in, be happy about buying that home, and they'll go in and actually fix all the cosmetic repairs throughout the home.
Now, in my experience, Jay and Samera, sometimes banks are hesitant to lend specifically on the mobile home itself. So that often leads a seller to do seller financing. It sounds like that's what you guys are doing. Is that right?
Correct. We find that a lot of individuals just, one, they can't go get approved for a loan for a home, a regular single family home. And, with banks, it's very rare for them to actually loan on older mobile homes. We find that, the newer homes, 10 or 15 years old, they've been in a park and that park is rated a 4 or 5-star community. They wouldn't necessarily mind lending on those, but the average person, they're just not going to be able to go out and get a loan that easily. So that's where we step in. Sometimes individuals want to buy for cash. Sometimes individuals want to buy with seller financing. And the great thing is, when they purchase the home, again, they are buying the home. We're acting as a bank. We're not doing any type of repairs. We're not acting as a landlord. We're specifically acting as a bank.
Yeah, that's great. So once again, kind of going back to that underserved community, right? I mean, keep in mind, this is an affordable kind of housing space, right? So maybe these people can't qualify for a traditional bank loan, or the banks just won't lend on the type of property that they choose to live in. So you guys are finding a need in the community, going out, serving that need, and also profiting off of it. So sometimes you're going to either flip the mobile home to the next buyer, or you might act as the bank and carry the note for that buyer to purchase the mobile home, allowing you to kind of go out and do this again and again.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And, one of the great things about, when we first got started, we really focused on those seller financing opportunities because we were able to find these homes for under $5,000. And then a lot of the times we would do minimal repairs, very, like Jay said, just getting that big 5 up to standard. And then we were able to collect a decent down payment. So let's just say on our first deal, we purchased it for $2,000. We put $500 of repairs into it just to kind of spruce it up, clean it up. Mm-hmm. And then we were able to get a $2,000 down payment from our new buyer and collect the payments for around $300 per month for the next 5 years. So we were able to get our money back within, under 6 months, under a couple months, actually. And then we were able to cash flow down that property for multiple years to come.
Yeah, that's awesome. And are you guys doing this in state, out of state, in your backyard? What's that look like?
Yeah, so we're doing this in state and out of state. Right now, we have a community of investors that we work with in Trailer Cash Academy where, if it's not in our backyard, if it's not in a super easy location for us to get to, we can reach out and leverage other people's time. They can be the boots on the ground. We can help manage or fund the deal, and we can just partner together and make it happen. So we're doing deals all across the nation. And so are a lot of our students, and just by having that community and that network to reach out to.
That's kind of like what you mentioned earlier, Jay. You mentioned that term leverage, right? So early on, you guys were leveraging experience of your mentors. Now you're leveraging, not only that experience and the knowledge you've gained over the years, but now your network you've built through Trailer Cash Academy, which I have to give it to you guys. One of the most clever names I've ever heard.
Appreciate
that, man. We thought of it and we were like, man, this has got a good ring to it. Let's go ahead and keep that.
So let's go ahead and introduce it. It's Trailer Cash Academy, which is your guys' academy through teaching others to do what you've done. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so we understand that individuals getting into the real estate investing space, they have a ton of options. If you're like us, you go to these conferences and they're throwing everything at you. You just don't know where to start. And at the end of the day, many new investors simply want to close their first deal. So what we do is we help new real estate investors close their first deal with a niche called mobile home investing. So our main thing is we want you to come in, get your first deal closed. If you decide to be a pioneer and, start a mobile home investing business, we've got all the tools and resources to help you build that business and sustain that success. But if you want to just gain this confidence and take it all over to the real estate world, you can do that too. It's just about getting that first deal done, getting that confidence, and then moving forward with your journey.
Yeah, Jane Samera, I find that many new investors, once they have the right mindset, the next hurdle is saving up for that down payment, right? Say in your market, a rental property is $50,000 or $100,000. That takes a sizable chunk of money to come up with a down payment just to get started. But in this asset class, that cost is way lower than it would be with a single family home or other type of property. So it's a very easy entry point for that kind of beginner real estate investor.
Yeah, that's the big idea about it. It's like, hey, if you're just trying to go out there and cash flow just one single family home and you're just going the regular traditional route of getting a loan in order to get that deal going, we feel like that's the wrong way to go about it. And especially when you're talking about that down payment. Let's just say the down payment on that home is $60,000 or $70,000. Like a lot of people just don't have that amount of money, sitting around. And even if you do have that amount of money, think about how many mobile home deals you can buy. Let's just say you find a bunch of mobile homes at $5,000 a piece. You do the math on that. Your money can go a lot further with mobile home investing, and then you can gain cash flow a lot quicker as well. Although the cash flow with mobile homes, we're talking 4 to 10 years of solid cash flow versus, 30 plus years with, real estate investing. But at the end of the day, if you look at the value of your time and your money and the ROI, it can't be beat with mobile home investing.
And that was our big idea when we first got into it. When we were really running the numbers and doing the research, we're like, man, this is what it costs to live. This, let's just say it's $3,000 is what all of our bills add up to. If we're cash flowing mobile homes at $300 a piece, that's just 10 mobile homes and we're out of our jobs. And so that was the mindset behind what we were doing. We're like, man, that kind of drove us, that gave us the energy. Like we could do 10. Mm-hmm. 10 doesn't seem too bad. Yeah. And we can get our money back within under 6 months on these and then continue to reinvest it. So that was the big idea when we first got started.
So low point of entry, velocity of money, a high demand for, people needing affordable communities and affordable places to live. All those things marry up to an awesome business model for investors like ourselves.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, we don't take this for granted, and there's a lot of people out there that are like, hey, are there too many people in this space? Is it saturated? People ask the same thing about the regular real estate investing market. It's not saturated. In fact, I said this before, the affordable housing crisis is here. So the demand for these homes is at an all-time high, and people need your help. So we need more investors in this industry.
Yeah, it's such an abundant mindset you come at it from too, Jay. Like, there's not like there is a finite number of mobile homes out there, but you can't personally buy them all, both of you. So there's parks out there and people out there that you can't serve that you can help others serve.
Exactly. We know how much it costs us to live. So to go out there and do every single mobile home deal out there, that's just not, in our interest. We don't desire that whatsoever. We actually choose to go out there and serve more people because, again, we can't be too many places at once. We'd rather help provide this knowledge to have other people go out there and serve the marketplace.
Well, I have to ask you guys, are there any kind of myths or anything you've dispelled or uncovered being mobile home park investors that maybe somebody from the outside thinks of or doesn't think of? Any kind of like insider secrets or something you got into and realized that you didn't know before you got into it?
Well, I think one of the biggest things that we get is, hey, people that live in mobile homes, they don't make payments, right? Even if you are doing seller financing or, let's just say you bought a home at a great price and you're trying to resell it for quick cash. People that live in mobile home parks, they don't have money to cash you out really quickly, do they? We feel like that's a myth. A lot of the individuals that live in mobile home parks, they actually choose to live there. They actually choose to live a more affordable way of living. And these individuals, they're very hardworking. A lot of them are blue collar workers. A lot of them even have very high 700 plus credit scores. So a lot of people, they think that these individuals won't pay, but we have not had a problem with individuals that we've been working with as far as seller financing. We've not had a problem with buying homes and selling them for quick cash. These people are great. They're hardworking. They make their payments, and that stigma just doesn't make sense. It's truly false.
Yeah, that's good to know. That's great. Yeah. Well, how about any kind of like investor metrics you guys look at when you're looking at a new deal in a market you like? Do you have any kind of rules of thumb that you quickly down and dirty kind of give a quick analysis to mobile homes?
Yeah. So again, we use multiple strategies. So it's kind of like it really, how we approach this is it's not about what we want. We actually go to the client and really try to serve them and meet them where they're at. So sometimes, clients are asking retail price for their property, but they deserve it. They've kept it up. They've upgraded it. Yeah, we're not trying to take that away from you. So we would use a different strategy where maybe we're just going to list the property for you. Whereas, if the home does need a lot of repairs, they're really motivated. Maybe they're being evicted from the park. There's a whole other way to handle those as far as, this is what we can offer you. We have to pay back taxes, back lot rent. So there's not just one hard and fast rule. What I will say is it's very similar in the sense of real estate. We got to do our comparables. We got to look at what's selling in the park, what's not selling, and doing a lot of testing and research to really become that market expert. And then it becomes a lot easier to be able to recognize deals and be able to recognize, how we can serve when we're more educated on the market.
And then the community as well. When you're fixing, flipping single family homes, the community that the home is in, that plays a factor as well. It's the same way with mobile home parks. You got 5-star communities, you've got 1-star communities.
Yeah, right.
Some better than the other. So we have a few factors that come into play to help us, get the assessment of the home.
Yeah, whereas like single family homes, they can be a little bit more straightforward, kind of cookie cutter. Your 1% rent to value ratio kind of applies. You tweak it based on whatever market you're in. But mobile home parks, there's a lot more variables, like you said, like where's it at within a park? All these kind of different factors. Is it a brand new double wide? Is it a 1970s model single wide that hasn't had any maintenance upkeep since then? There's just all these different factors. So in my personal approach and recently being interested in mobile home parks, that's one of the things I've been starting to kind of notice and wrap my head around. It's just all these nuances.
For sure.
Yeah.
And how are the access roads within the park? How is the access to nearby schools, gas stations, grocery stores? Are there any amenities within the park as well? Yeah,
there's a lot of factors. I think in real estate, a lot of the real estate investors that come into mobile homes, they're used to having that, you can look up all of the numbers online. You can find the exact value, you can narrow it down. Mobile home investing is not like that because in one park, there's so many different years and sizes of properties. And within, one park across the street might be a 1-star park. That's the values in that home are going to be completely different than the 3-star park across the street. So there's a lot more factors. You kind of have to get out in the field a little bit more and get your hands dirty with this niche and just really learn, what are the values of the properties? What can I resell this for? What's selling? What's not selling? So it takes a little bit more of that front end research, but once you start to get it, it just starts to become second nature.
Yeah. Well, to the audience members, Jay and Samera, listening in right now thinking, wow, they are really onto something here. I'm pretty interested in this niche myself, but I don't know if I've got what it takes. Jay and Samera are clearly like go-getters, hustlers. They were able to overcome all these odds. They've probably got something I don't. What would you have to say to that?
I would say the only thing that separates us is honestly just the way we use our time. We like to think of what we're doing each day as habits, and success habits, and what have we formed, what have you not formed. That's the only thing. We're very intentional with our time. We go out there, we take massive action, and some of our action isn't always perfect. We're not afraid to make mistakes. We like to think of it as imperfect action. So we're not trying to be perfect. We're not trying to make no mistakes. We're just trying to take action. So, if you're in that situation, I would just encourage you to get more education, get more skill sets, and continue to take massive action. And you can get to where we're at, even surpass where we're at.
Yeah. And I think we're big on, we're not know-it-alls, we're learn-it-alls. And even into this day, going into new markets, working with new students, we're still learning. So it's all about progress. I think focusing on, okay, maybe I'm not where Jay and Samera are right now, or that's at least a benchmark that I'm trying to reach. Just making progress each and every day and just taking a step closer is really, really where the goal is at, is just making that progress and focusing on what you can do each day.
Yeah, I love the mindset you guys bring to it, just kind of the abundance mindset. You started with like a really strong reason why and, wanting to progress and do better things for yourself in life. and, you take consistent action. And I think that's really what has led you guys to where you're at, right? It's just like that action every single day. It's not like you spent all this time saving up and reading and, just waiting and then taking action one day. Like, you kind of got started probably a little bit before you felt you were ready, and do that next still a little bit before you feel you're ready, and constantly pushing yourself.
Yeah. And having the right people around us. Samera mentioned earlier, you got to have people around you that's encouraging you, that's adding fuel to your fire. So gratefully, we've been able to have the right people in our corner. And even that first mentor we had where he scammed us for the $30,000, we're actually glad we went through that process, because now we're able to recognize good character. And we just couldn't recognize the bad character traits that he had, because we had never gone through that process.
Gosh, I mean, how do you top that with the mindset of like being grateful for losing $30,000 and turning it into a positive, right? Just goes to show your guys' mindset, and I love it.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, tell us a little bit about what you guys are doing at Trailer Cash Academy in terms of helping people do what you do. I know we touched on it a little bit, but if somebody's interested in learning, tell us exactly what they can do there.
Yeah. So again, we train our students on, it doesn't matter if you have any experience in real estate, any experience in mobile home investing. Our goal is to get you to become a market expert within 90 days or sooner, and just learn from A to Z exactly how to do these deals, no matter what market you're in. So we do a ton of training. We provide that network and support that you need, because we know it's not just about the knowledge. You can have a ton of books, you can watch all the courses, but until you have that support to actually get out there and you bump your head a few times, you're learning, and you have some resources to kind of redirect you and re-guide you, then it's really hard to keep going. So we do our best to just provide that support and that community to help you push forward as well.
Awesome. We'll point people to that in just a minute. But before we wrap up for the day, let's go ahead and end with a lightning round. It's just a series of questions we like to fire at every one of our guests. Are you up for it?
Absolutely. Let's go.
Let's go.
All right. So the question is, what was your biggest hurdle getting started investing in real estate? And then what'd you do to overcome that?
I think the biggest hurdle getting started was just, I think I mentioned this earlier, so many different avenues to choose from. We went to, 3 or 4 different seminars, and when we first started, and I feel like we learned about every single avenue within real estate investing. So we just didn't know, which one applied to us, right?
Yeah. And it was hard to know who to trust. I mean, there's so many companies out there and mentors and people saying they're doing all of these things. And it was very, very hard to kind of discern where should I be going and who should I trust to help me get closer to my goals. So I think that was one of the biggest struggles. But like Jay just mentioned, I think stumbling a few times, making some mistakes, we really learned how to pick out character and do our research. And now whenever we bring on new mentors or coaches, there's a whole process we put them through, because it's about not only do you have the knowledge, do you have the results that I want, but do we resonate with your character? And so kind of learning that process has helped us a ton.
Yeah, I love that. Well, do you have a personal habit, Jay and Samera, both of you, that contributes to your success?
Oh, absolutely, man. My personal habit that I do each and every day, I get a good workout in, at least 30 minutes of pure sweating activity. I think of my body as my weapon, and I look at just going into the world, operating our business as the war. So the only weapon I have is my body. So I have to fuel it right, and I have to make sure I'm sharpening my tool each and every day. And that's the working out. That's the sweat that's doing the work. And I feel like that helps me operate at a higher level of performance each and every day, because I've already did the hard work, which is outdoing myself, making myself sweat, going the extra mile, just simply for me. That makes business and things that come along with business a lot easier to get through.
Yeah, I try to keep up with Jay on the workout, but I would say, I think taking that time to really focus on gratitude and on vision and that reflection time that I take in the morning is huge for me, because it's easy to get caught up in comparison. It's easy to get caught up, feeling down on yourself. But until you take a moment and say, hey, how far have I come? Where am I trying to go? What is that next step? And just taking those moments of reflection and meditation have been super powerful for me, just to kind of energize me in the morning. I usually do it in the morning, and it fires me up for my day, because I feel an abundance. I feel so much gratefulness just to be able to have the opportunity to push forward today.
Yeah, great habits. I love both of those. You guys are both obviously crushing it in each of those respective fields. So awesome. Well, do you guys each have an online resource you find valuable in your day-to-day?
Yeah. So there's a lot. There's a lot of resources. I mean, your phone has an abundance of tools. I
Jeez,
think
yeah.
it's tough to just pick one. I would say our CRM has been super powerful. We actually use Active Campaign, which
Okay.
is an email sender, but it's also a place where you can have your pipeline and your contacts. And we have our whole business in there. And so as we've grown, as we've added new team members, this has been a great place for us to communicate on projects and leads and things that are coming into our pipeline. Now that we're working with students across the nation, when we have leads come in different markets, it just keeps us organized and we're able to communicate with thousands of buyers and our sellers without us having to do everything ourselves. So I think our CRM has been one of our best tools.
And then on top of that, using Google Calendar, just being able
I love it.
to block out our time, color code it. We can see it. Our team has their own calendar. It's really, really useful. It keeps us organized and, it helps us intentionally plan the way we want to feel and knowing what's expected of us each and every day. So Google Calendar.
Yeah, huge.
That's what's up. Yeah.
That was huge.
If you don't schedule your day, somebody will schedule it for you, right?
Exactly.
There we go.
Exactly.
Well, Jay and Samera, what book would you recommend to the audience members and why? It sounds like you guys did a lot of reading and still do, so I'm curious about this.
Sure.
Yeah.
I would go with High Performance Habits by Brendon Bouchard.
Yeah,
When you talk about, reprogramming your mind and creating success habits, Brendon does just that. He has you looking at every area of your life, every aspect of your life, and just creating long-lasting, sustainable habits. Because I think a lot of people wake up and they try to check things off of a task list and they try to get some quick motivation, but those things are not sustainable for the long haul. So that book is really going to get you in the right state of mind and actually learn from what high performers in different industries around the world are doing to not only achieve that success, but sustain it each and every day.
Yeah. And right now I'm reading a book called The Calling by Raw Goddess. And it's basically about how to tap into yourself and really pull out what's your higher purpose in life and how to not only figure out what that purpose is and figure out what your calling is, but how to monetize it and how to serve your community. So I think this is huge for someone that's just getting started. They're not too sure what their purpose or their passion is. They're kind of like dabbling in different areas. This will help give you the clarity and the guidance to actually pull that out of you and learn how to actually take that and get over some of those money mindset issues to actually learn how to monetize it.
Awesome. So that's The Calling and High Performance Habits. We'll link both of those in the show notes. Thanks for those recommendations. Jay, Samera, last question in the lightning round is if you were to go back and give advice to your 20-year-old self to get started investing in real estate, what would you go back and tell yourself?
I would tell myself to get focused, get started. Stop worrying about the unintentional time you're wasting. Like, let's start to get focused and start to focus on where your money is going, where your time, where your energy, where your desire, and where your faith is going. Let's start to create a grand vision for your life, and let's start to take some imperfect action into becoming the person you dream about.
Yeah, I was going to say, get out of the bar. I'm not supposed to be there at 20, but, things happen. But nonetheless, really focus on how to become more in yourself. I think it all begins with you. And so working on building those good habits, focusing on where is your time going? Where is your money going? Just becoming more aware of who you are in this moment and who you want to become. That all is part of the process.
Gosh, I wish you guys would have caught me when I was 20. I was being such a bonehead. And if I had these kind of mindsets and the people like you around me, I would have been who knows where by now. So I love it.
I wish I would have had me around me at that
time. Well, guys, hey, it's been so much fun talking about your journey and how you guys kind of broke out of that 9-to-5 kind of lifestyle and went out and built something for yourself. Super inspiring. You guys have a very relatable story to many people out there. And it just goes to show that, if you put enough time and dedication towards what you're passionate about, you can really, make great results in just a few short years like you guys have.
Absolutely.
Thank you. We appreciate it. We've had fun on this interview and this time with you, and we hope we brought some value to your audience.
Yeah, thank you for having us as well.
Absolutely. It's our pleasure. Well, before we leave here, tell people where they can go and check out more about what you're doing, who you guys are, and connect with you if they have any other questions.
Absolutely. So the best place to get started and learn more about us is on YouTube. We've got a ton of free trainings there. you can go to youtube.com/trailercashacademy, and cash is with a C. And so you can learn a ton about, how to get started, what this niche is about, even hearing some stories from some of our students that have been successful with this, so you can figure out if this is the right lane for you. And then we also you could always go to trailercashacademy.com and check out our website and check out some of our testimonials there as well.
Awesome. So that's Trailer Cash Academy and the YouTube channel. We'll link both of those in the show notes for our audience members to pick up. Jay and Samera, hey, it was so great having you on the show. Thanks so much for coming on.
Absolutely.
Thank you for having us.
All right. Take care. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Awesome.
All right, that wraps up this week's episode with our guests, Jay and Samera Harvey. Hey, I hope you got so much actionable content from that conversation, as well as found Jay and Samera's story as inspiring as I did. I love talking with guests just like this on the podcast and bringing you such actionable, great advice from all of our weekly guest interviews, and I really hope you're enjoying those Friday fundamentals. This podcast was brought to you by Ayers Acquisitions. Ayers Acquisitions is a real estate investment company that acquires cash-flowing real estate in emerging markets. With a focus on multifamily investments, we seek value-add opportunities in recession-resistant properties and markets that generate strong returns for our qualified investors. To learn more about investment strategies and processes, you can visit www.ayersacquisitions.com. There, you can schedule a call with me personally to connect further. Until next week, engineer the lifestyle you want.
You've been listening to the Real Estate Way to Wealth and Freedom podcast, providing you actionable content to build your real estate empire. Nothing on this show should be considered specific, personal, or professional advice. Please consult an appropriate tax, legal, real estate, financial, or business professional for personal advice. The opinions of guests are their own. Information is not guaranteed. All investment strategies have a potential for profit or loss. The host is operating on behalf of the Real Estate Way to Wealth and Freedom, LLC, exclusively.